Hello, friends and family. This, if you do not know, is a about 2/3 eaten breakfast burrito. And I would just like you to know, before we start today's episode, very pressing information. In my 23 years of living as a free U.S. American citizen with free will and land of the free, home of the brave, my taste has evolved. And that taste has evolved into breakfast burritos. This is probably my favorite fucking food on the entire planet. Not just this one. If you put a breakfast burrito of any caliber in front of my face, I will probably eat it and I will probably enjoy it. And that's that on that. Unless that shit has like vegan cheese or something. That's not cheese. That's not cheese, babe. Hey, that's not real. Hey, vegans are fake. I swear to God. Anyways. All right, episode 5, bitch. Episode 5. Are you for real? Come on, bro. Let's get this shit started. Almost burned my eyebrow off. Why did I put it that close to my face? Anywho. Okay, incense lit. Coffee. Twink. Oh my God, this is called a salted pumpkin roll. Do I remember what's in it? No. But it's fucking delicious. I think it's... Actually, I lied to you. I think it's salted caramel. Weird. Weird that it would be in a... Anyways. White chocolate and pumpkin. That's what's in it. And it's fucking incredible. Anyways. Hey! Welcome! We're off to a really bad start already. Hello and welcome to Sunday Worship. Do you guys remember that clip? If you know where that clip, like what that's from, you're a real one. I think that shit is so funny. Anyways, it's from a video by he who should not be named, but the person that said it, Drew Monson, obsessed with him. Anywho, welcome back to Things That Go Bump. I am your host, Zabian, and this is my Goosebumps review podcast. I cannot believe that this is episode 5 already. That is insane. I've sat here for about 4 hours total now talking about a children's series. What a stupid use of my time. Anywho, this is going to be such a good episode. I literally planned the release date of this podcast so that I could time this episode out perfectly for you. It is, when you are watching this, it is fucking Halloween, bitch. Happy Halloween. Are you for real? I'm recording this very early in the month of October. Like, the first episode actually just came out yesterday, which, thank you to the people who have reached out to me and said that they enjoyed the episode. That is so validating. My inner saboteur has been, like, up to this point, before I even released the first episode, been telling me that this is stupid and that this is embarrassing and that I shouldn't do this. But I've been forcing myself to get through it anyways, and seeing people like leave me some positive critiques and like reviews about just even the first episode is so validating for me. So thank you so much for listening and watching up to this point. I appreciate you so much. Anyways, this is episode 5 of Things That Go Bump, being released on fucking Halloween, and I'm so excited about it. After today, you will not be able to count the number of episodes of this podcast on one hand. That is so exciting to me. And also, I'll get into the big kahuna. You can read the title of the episode, but I'm gonna save the big kahuna for after housekeeping. So let's get into some housekeeping quick. Halloween related housekeeping. I'm so pissed, you guys. I was going to dress... I have, like, no reason to actually dress up for Halloween this year. I don't, as of right now, early in October, have any plans. But I do own already in my day-to-day life that I wear real clothes. I own an outfit that is just the perfect costume for Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. I own an olive green shirt. I own orange corduroys and combat boots. Slay. And then I was like, oh my God, I can dress up as Shaggy, and I can dress my dog Jude up as Scooby-Doo. So fucking I go on Jeff Bezos's Amazon. That place is a rotting hellscape pit of fire and evil. I go on Jeff Bezos' Amazon and I look up dog costumes Scooby-Doo. I even take measurements. I order a size that should fit my fucking dog. And editing Zabian, please insert a picture of how ridiculous Jude looked in this costume when it arrived in the mail. From Jeff Bezos himself. Jeff Bezos confidently handed me this fucking costume that looks ridiculous on my dog for 30 US American dollars. And he looked fucking insane. So I had to return it, and now I have to get him another costume, and we can't dress up as Scooby and Shaggy, because that is, like, the only actual good Scooby-Doo costume for dogs that I could find. Maybe I hate Halloween now, and it's Jeffrey's fault. Fuck you, Jeff Bezos. Ugh. Aside from the fact that you're also one of those, like, fucking rich people who doesn't give their money to things that matter. Fuck you for giving my dog a costume that is far too small. Ugh. And even, like, I don't know if you can see it in the picture. This fucking Scooby-Doo name tag was backwards, bitch. Ugh. Oh, I was pissed. I'm so pissed. That was stupid as fuck. Okay. Moving on. Lastly, I just have of course, now that I started a segment on the ghost in my house, ghost updates, I really don't have too much since the last episode. I have, how can I say this, like, lightly? In a way that won't make me sound crazy. I tried to get rid of it, and it did not work. But it has also been less. It's been less. I cleansed my house. We experienced the first full moon of fall after the autumnal equinox this past week, and I charged all of my crystals for the very first time in a very long time. And I think that just kind of cleansing out some gross energy in our house has been helpful. So it's kind of been tamed. I don't think it's gone. Still experienced a couple of things, not really worth mentioning though, because they could be easily explained, but I don't think that that's what happened, of course, because I'm whatever. But yeah, so not too much on the ghost updates. Hopefully something scary will happen in the future, and I can tell you guys about it then. That's pretty much it for my housekeeping, I believe. Yeah, that's it. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to the meat of the episode, the reason you're all here. For this very special Halloween edition of Things That Go Bump, I know that I already said I very specifically planned the release date of this podcast so that I could do this episode in particular. I was looking at my series, my collection, and you all know at this point that I'm not reading the books in order of publication. I'm reading them in the order that I source them, the order that I find them and put them on my shelf. The 5th book in my fucking collection is the first book in the Goosebumps series. Welcome to Dead House, bitch. That's the first book, the 5th book in my collection. And it timed out perfectly that I could release episodes starting in October and make the 5th episode on Halloween, bitch. Woo! All right, bitch. Let's fucking do it. I remember reading this book as a kid, and I couldn't finish it. I was so fucking scared of this book as a kid. I remember reading it in my room one night, and it got to a point where I'm pretty sure, I think it was like a part where she saw like a boy down the hallway or something, and I said, hey, what if I tap out now? What if I time out now? And I probably got scolded for quitting something again. But just a little light trauma dump on you. This is my podcast. If you are uncomfortable with trauma dumping, I kind of am too, but that wasn't that bad. Anyways, let's get into it. So, brief synopsis if you have not read the very first book in the Goosebumps series. So this is about a family. The main character's name is Amanda, and she has a little brother named Josh, and her family her dad inherits this house by an uncle who died that he doesn't even remember, and it's in this weird town called Dark Falls. They move there, and it's a pretty, initially it's just a pretty staple, ghost story. She starts, seeing children of ghosts in the house, and she starts like hearing and seeing things and blah blah blah. She meets some weird kids in the town, and it's just like very strange, very off-putting. And what does the back of the book say? Yeah, the parents don't believe that Amanda or Josh are experiencing anything, and that's it. That's the synopsis. I don't want to give too much away because we're here to talk about the details of this book in detail, if you will. All right, so let's start by overanalyzing, if you will, the child at the center of the story, Amanda. What's her last name? I don't care. Amanda Thripp from Matilda. Did I already make an Amanda Thripp reference in this podcast? I think I might have at some point in time. Hey, if you remember if I made an Amanda Thripp from Matilda reference in this podcast at some point in time, please let me know. I don't remember anything that I talk about. Once I edit the episode, I do not watch it again because I just can't. So, but I feel like I've talked about that stupid pigtailed bitch at some point in time. So Amanda, she, as far as protagonists go, she's not the worst of the ones that we've experienced so far together in this Things That Go Bump universe, but she's kind of like a girl boss, like derogatory. In my notes I have like, she's giving cunt in a way that you are like, you don't want to admit that she's giving cunt. She's like, maybe she's giving mother instead, but she's just, you hate to root for her basically. She has very early on, we established that she has this she has this superiority complex towards her brother Josh, who's like a year younger than her or something. Simply for like the matter that she is older than him and that she's a girl. Like slay, but also she's kind of a bitch to her brother. So like unnecessary, but the fact that she does it because she's a girl and she thinks that she's better than him because she's a girl. You're everything Carly Beth wanted to be and more, Amanda. And she's also like, she's just way too mature for her own good. And as someone else who was at the age of 12, way too mature for their own good, I recognize that in other children. And I know that that is just a horrible way to live. It fucking sucks, bro. You're never going to have fun. You're never going to have a good time, Amanda. You better chill the fuck out. And with that, she's also like, she's way too young to be so heavily involved and like just aware of the financial situations and financial issues that her parents are stressed out about. Like, she knows that her dad, by the time that they move into their new house in Dark Falls, she knows that her dad is like stressed out about money because they haven't sold their current house. And she knows that he'll be happy once they move into the new house because he can just stay home and like be an artist or something because they get this house for free, so they don't really need to make money. Which is like, okay, I don't know. I find that strange. I also come from a place of like, I didn't have to worry about stuff like that as a kid. I didn't feel it necessary to be like concerned about stuff like that because that's a parent's job. But whatever. Different walks of life, people. I'm not shit. If you were one of those kids, if you are one of those kids, if you're a kid watching Things That Go Bump, maybe like go read the books and then come back to this podcast when you're like 16. You know, don't watch this. Anyways, go finish your book report on Welcome to Dead House. And I don't know. She's just a little much. We're in different walks of life. I'm not here to shame anybody. Also, oh my God, this stupid bitch, she just gets things she doesn't deserve. That's not true. But I'm just jealous of her. I'm jealous of a 12-year-old fictional character in an R.L. Stine book. She's looking through the house. She finds her bedroom. She has a fucking bay window in her bedroom with a reading seat. I want one of those so bad. I want a reading seat in my room so fucking badly. I would kill somebody for a bay window. I would kill someone for a bay window. That's not true. I would beg someone. I would be on my hands and knees groveling for a bay window in my room. I can't talk about that right now. I guess I also wanted to mention, I should look at the outlines for these episodes before I just start recording, because I came into this knowing that I had an outline made and not really knowing what else I was going to fucking talk about. But I have one minor note that says, trend alert, fathers hating their children. As we recall from Beast from the East, holy shit, those kids' dad hated them. Fucking hated them. And the same seems to kind of be applying to the father of this book. He just seems to fucking hate his son Josh. It is insane. He is so mean to this kid who is simply like 11 and just not wanting to move. God, some parents are so fucking selfish. It's insane. And they also have a family dog who in the book is like a little Shih Tzu dog, if I remember, named Petey. And Petey knows what the fuck is up in this town. Obviously, all animals are very receptive to like weird spiritual energy shit. We all fucking know that. There's the whole myth that like cats are an omen of something. And if you are uneducated, you think that black cats are scary, and if you are educated, you know that they actually are like not always terrible omens. But yeah, PD knows what the fuck is up. He growls and barks at everyone in this town, and in the first, like the very beginning of the book, he like freaks out at the house, and then Josh is left to his own devices watching the dog while the rest of the family's inside, while Amanda's discovering her fucking bay window. And they realize Josh is gone, and they find him chasing this dog in the cemetery in town. So immediately then you're like, I wonder what this book's going to be about. I wonder if it's going to if the cemetery is going to be a very major location in this book. Spoiler alert, it is. If you can see a glimpse of the picture for today to my right, you will know that the cemetery is a very pivotal place. Don't look too close though. We'll get to that later. So now let's just go through some of the suspicious shit that happens in Dark Falls, USA. I have no fucking idea where this takes place. Probably because it's not real, maybe. Okay, starting off with just kind of some weird shit that goes down. The book opens with them visiting the house for the first time with this weird real estate agent who seems to be one of the only fucking people in this town. Literally in this book, the only people you meet are this real estate agent named Mr. Compton Dawes. What? Compton D's nuts, more like, you know what I'm saying? That is one of the most, like, out of character, out of pocket, unnecessary things I could have just fucking said. Why did I say that? Anyways. Anywho, the book opens with them looking through the house with this guy who's always wearing, like, a black brimmed hat when he's outside, which is kind of sus. You're like, you're always insisting on wearing a hat in the sun. I kind of sounded like Donald Trump. You're always insisting on wearing a black rimmed hat in the sun. You are a fucking loser. But then like one of the chapters after they investigate the house is look through the house, is them back at home before they move, and everyone is just so stressed out and being a fucking moody asshole to each other. That is always a sign of something taking over. You know what I mean? When people start acting a fool after they encounter something, that's ghosts. Ghosts. Possession. Demonic possession. Exorcism. The Estes method. I'm just naming ghost stuff now. Have y'all ever done the Estes method? Oh my God, if you don't know what the Estes method is, you have to try it. It's so fucking cool. Oh my God. So the Estes method is this ghost investigating like tool that you can use, like a method you can use to communicate with ghosts better, and like a bit more directly. So what you do, you need a group of people to do it, at least like 3, I would say. You can do it with 2 though. I would say 2 to 3 is the minimum. So one person in your group takes this ghost hunting device called a spirit box, and if you don't know what a spirit box is, it's a little like device that cycles through radio channels really, really quickly. And it just sounds like TV static almost. Like it's just this really annoying sound that's like it's flipping through all these channels, and you can plug headphones into it. So with the Estes method, what you do, one person takes the spirit box turned on, cycling through the channels. They put headphones in or like noise canceling earbuds or something. And all they are listening to is the frequencies, like the channels flipping through. That's the only thing they can hear. And then to make it even better, to even further like deprive your senses, you can put a blindfold on so that all you're doing is kind of getting lost in this like trance-like state. And all you're listening to is the spirit box channels flipping through. And when that is happening, oftentimes you will hear words coming through. So that's the whole point of the spirit box, is that the like spirits are supposed to be able to connect or like speak more clearly and communicate more clearly through these channels that are flipping through really quickly. And that's how you're supposed to be able to hear them. It's a frequency thing. I don't know. I'm not a fucking scientist. Okay. So the person is sitting there with earbuds in, just saying the words that they hear through the spirit box out loud to the rest of the group that's all they're doing, just listening and saying the words that they hear on the spirit box. Meanwhile, everyone else in your group is asking questions, just asking normal investigation questions that you do when you try to communicate with a spirit. And supposedly, like, if it's the spirit communicating with you through the spirit box, whatever the person is saying while their senses are deprived and they can't hear the rest of the group is supposed to be like answering the questions that everyone else is asking. It's so fucking cool. It's so cool. I want to go ghost hunting again so badly so that I can do it. We've done it before and it's so fucking cool. We did it at this old like poor farm in near where I live. And at one point we were in this old padded room that they had to use for people who were like a danger to themselves, basically. And it's a tiny padded room that is like obviously no longer functional. It's like a shut down place. And we had one girl sitting in the middle of three. It was a group of 4 total. And it was me, my mom, my friend, and my friend's sister. And my friend's sister was the one doing the Estes method. This was her first time doing it for the whole night. And she was sitting in the middle of the room and all of us were just kind of surrounding her, but it's like a really tight place. So we were basically like shoulder to fucking shoulder. And literally she had the spirit box on for like maybe 10 seconds. And one of us asked, like, is there anyone here who wants to communicate with us? And she immediately said no. Like, that's what she heard in the spirit box. And we were like, turn it off. We're done. Is there anyone in here that would like to communicate with us?
No. Should we just call it?
Should we just call it?
That was very quick.
Maybe not. Maybe we shouldn't.
Shouldn't do the Estes?
Shouldn't push it here.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so fucking cool. Anyways, moving on to Goosebumps. Another thing that happens is immediately as soon as they are looking at this house for the first time, Miss Amanda sees a little blonde boy standing in their window looking at her from inside the house, and she says, "Hey, there's a blonde boy." And they're like, "No, there's not." Of course, because parents love to shut down their children. She also, once they move into this house, she starts hearing, like, this is kind of creepy. She starts hearing, like, whispers from inside of her closet. That's fucking horrifying. And she also sees, like, in the middle of the night, she'll see, like, her curtains, like, they're, like, silky curtains or whatever, and they start, like, billowing out, and as if, like, there's wind blowing through them, but the windows are closed, so there's, like, nothing that would be moving them around. I think she also has yeah, she does. Okay, I have a note about that. She also will come up in her room sometimes and see clothes like thrown on her bed. And as she experiences all of these, of course, like I said before, it's kind of a staple ghost story at first. So she's like, oh, it must be this, or it must be this, or mom must have put clothes on my bed, but she normally does it pretty nicely, like folds the laundry and puts it on the bed. But these are like all thrown a 1 minute while I do some deep diving research. Is it a stew? A strew? A stray? A strew? Is that a word? Just strew. Strown. That's what I wanted to say. Strown all over like her bed. Anywho, I dropped out of college, okay? Give me a fucking break. In case you forgot, I was an English major in college, but I dropped out. And do you know what happens when you drop out of college? They literally hook you up to a fucking machine and suck the college education out of your brain and then say, you dropped out of college in the middle of the semester, so you owe us $2,000 for the rest of your semester tuition. I cannot fucking believe the predicament I found myself in. Thanks, Catholic school. It actually wasn't Catholic. What was it? I don't know. I took a class when I was in school with a bunch of fucking seminary kids. Got into a lot of debates with them. A lot. Quite a few. Anywho, at one point in this book, Amanda also has, if you are a spiritual, like, ghost believer, dreams, bitch, we all know that dreams are pretty significant in situations like this when you are, like, being haunted, or you think you're being haunted, you think that something's kind of with you. She has a dream that she is sitting at the dinner table in this house and her, like, with her family, except her family is, like, they are all dead. They're all dead. They are like skeletons. They are literally skeletons, and they are eating plates of bones at the fucking dinner table. A 12-year-old child is having a dream like this in her new house that she thinks is haunted. That is fucking horrifying. And trust me, it just gets even crazier from there. R.L. Stine went fucking stupid with this book. It was a fucking roller coaster. Then after that, she also sees a new child in her house. There's this girl with black hair who is creepily smiling at her upstairs. Speaking of creepily smiling, last night, so it's Halloween season, so we're starting to watch scary movies all the time, right? Last night, I watched Smile for the first time with my mother. That movie is so fucking weird. I remember when that was being advertised, I thought it looked so fucking dumb. I thought it looked so stupid. And then I heard good reviews about it, so I was excited to watch it. Those reviews lived up to its name. That movie was fucking crazy, bro. Crazy. Watch Smile. I feel like it was I did some research. It was the director. It was the same director and screenwriter. He directed his own screenplay, and it was his directorial debut as well. So it was his first movie, and that makes a lot of sense because I feel like he kind of threw away the ending. The whole movie was so, like, visually interesting to look at, and it was so, like, you're trying to, like, put all these puzzle pieces together and figure it out what's happening as an audience member, and then I like it when it's kind of left in the air where you have to figure it out yourself. I like horror movies like that. But he basically handed you what was happening by the end of the movie. And I thought that was so fucking lame. But regardless, it ended the way I wanted it to. But the kind of wrapping everything up I felt was unnecessary. But watch that movie. It was very good. Also, at one point in this book, Josh and Amanda are out exploring, and they run into this kid whose name is Ray Thurston. Thurston for what exactly? It's... Hold on, I'm getting stressed out now. Maybe it's not Thurston, and I might just be silly. I hate ads. Sorry?
Thurston.
It is Thurston. So, Ray, you have a stupid fucking name. Ray Thurston? Get the fuck out of here. Thirst over someone else. This is a 12-year-old girl you're talking to. He's also a child. But they run into him. He's kind of weird. He's got blonde hair. Blonde hair. Do you remember what else I was talking about with blonde hair earlier? And, while they're hanging out with him, they also encounter this, like, gang of tweens and teens, basically, like, just other kids. And some of them are really fucking weird. One of them is this girl named Karen, and she's just like being nice to Amanda, but also like they're all kind of threatening Amanda and Josh. And at one point they like circle the two siblings and like are very like intimidating, and they're holding like baseball bats and shit. And then Mr. Compton Dawes, stupid name, comes up and like saves them. And not even like, hey, stop it. He's just like, hey, what's going on? And all of the kids are like, nothing. Shh, nothing's going on. But then they all like scatter because the sun is coming up. And it's like 11:30 in the morning. It was like a cloudy day, and then the sun comes out, and they're all like, shit, I gotta go home. And then they all leave. And that happens again when they are in the middle of a softball game. It's like 11:30 in the morning. The sun comes out. They're in the middle of a game, and they all are like, hey, actually, peace out. Deuces. Like, see you later. And it's so strange. So strange. And also, at this point, when she starts meeting all these children, so many of them always say, like, I used to live in your house. There are like 3 or 4 kids that tell them, like, oh yeah, I used to live in your house. Weird. Fucking strange. And then halfway through this book, I don't even remember. Let me look up storyline chart. You know, like the stupid storyline charts that are like rising action and plot and like, okay, so you hit the middle of the book, and like that is truly the climax. I feel like the climax normally happens like towards the end of the book, but like it's around the middle in this book where something happens that really just leads into shit hitting the fan for the rest of the book. So they're out at this softball game with the kids, and Petey, the dog, is there, and he hates all these kids, of course, mind you. He's barking and growling at all these kids in the town. And during the game, Amanda and Josh realize that he has run away, and they cannot find him. And in the middle of they like go back to their house. They get their parents to drive them around town. No one can find the dog. And in the middle of the night, Josh wakes up Amanda and is like, hey, I'm going to go find Petey. I think I know where he is. And I think he's in the cemetery because that's where he ran away to when we first got here. So they go to the cemetery. On their way to the cemetery, they are followed by fucking Ray Thurston. And Amanda's like, fuck you. What are you doing here? And they tell him, like, we're going to the cemetery to look for our dog. And he's like, no, you're not. Don't do that. That's a fucking horrible idea. And they go to the cemetery. Anyways, they say, fuck you, Ray, we're going to the cemetery. And so they go there. They discover this like weird like amphitheater, like an outdoor amphitheater, you know, with like stadium seating, but it's like stone benches or whatever with like a little stage at the center of it. They find that. And there's also like this weird creepy tree that's like uprooting at the very top of it that kind of like shades over the whole thing. And Ray says that it's a meeting place. Okay, fucking weirdo. And then while they're investigating the fucking, what's it called? Cemetery. While they're investigating the cemetery, they start like looking at the fucking headstones there, and they have the same names as the children that they have befriended in this town. Whoa, all the kids are actually dead. I didn't see that coming by the fact that they can't hang out in the sun and are super fucking weird and tried to beat them up when they first met them and all lived in their haunted house. Whoa. So like this book is pretty fucking predictable, but also at this point going forward, it is unpredictable. I was gooped by this book going forward after they discover all the kids are dead. So they find out that like at some point Ray tells her that they like the town needs like fresh blood, and that he is actually a watcher for the town, and he was supposed to like keep an eye on them. They find Petey, the dog, but Petey is acting fucking weird. He's like growling at them, and he smells really bad, and he has like red eyes, and he won't come towards them. And they find out, did I already say this? They find out that the town basically needs fresh blood. What? And Ray is like, I'm the watcher. I have to make sure you guys don't do anything. We had to kill your dog. Like, we had to get rid of him first because the dogs always know. That's literally all he says. He's so fucking ominous and weird about it. And so, yeah, they fucking kill the dog off screen. The dog is dead in the cemetery. And they're, like, freaking out, whatever, as you would. And then Ray tries to fucking kill Amanda. We have children on children, sight unseen. This is like fucking Lord of the Flies. This is like Lord of the Flies, where the kids are like trying to kill each other. It's nothing like Lord of the Flies, but the situation's kind of similar. And then you have this part where fucking Josh has been chasing after the dog, and he comes back, and after Amanda has heard all this, and after he tries to like kill Amanda, like, I don't remember what he does exactly, like strangle her or something. Josh shines a flashlight at what's happening, like at Ray, and this fucking ghost kid I watched the episode of this, like bits of the episode of this, because it's on YouTube for free, and it's just so astronomically different, like what happens to these kids. Mind you, in the episode, it's mostly adults, and then like one of the kids from the book that's like a pretty prominent character, that Karen girl. And when they like are exposed to bright light in the episode, it's obviously a kid's show. So they just like kind of like melt and disappear and then leave behind like a pile of clothes. No, bitch. In this book, Josh shines a light on Ray Thurston, and it like descriptively talks about how his fucking like skin starts melting off of his body, his eyes fall out of his head, and he is like a skeleton of himself that crumbles to the fucking ground in melted skin and shit like that. That leads us into the picture for the day. Anyways, let's put the picture on the screen, editing Zabian. So as you see, I've drawn a picture of the scene I've just described to you, because like the villains of this book are the ghosts in town that want these kids fucking dead because they need fresh blood to basically keep like living in a ghost town. Otherwise I don't know. That's the thing. We don't know what happens if they don't get fresh blood. They just like move on. Maybe that's what they should want, is just to move on. Anyways, I've drawn a picture of the aftermath of Ray's skin melting off his body. He's next to a gravestone that says R.I.P. a literal child, because like most of the gravestones they find are for children that they've met in town that are like 12 years old, fucked up. And then, yeah, Ray's skeleton is saying Jesus fucking Christ, because what the hell is happening? They just melted the skin off of a child, and you can see his skeleton's all worried here, and at the bottom on the ground is his melted face and his melted skin laying in front of him before he crumbles to the ground, and is like dead again, kind of. What the fuck? This is the first book in this series of children's horror books. That is some shit I would expect to see in a Stephen King novel. That is insane. Anyways, let's just move on, I guess. I did kind of like in this moment, like I was this is where I started looking for more like commentary in this book, like what could be taken away from this, because hello, we're here to overanalyze. Like, I feel like last week where I started talking about like how stuff from the Beast from the East could be drawn into like real world events. Like, it's a very good analogy, but I also feel like people might think it's ridiculous and unnecessary to overanalyze shit. That's why we're here. It's for fun, but it's also for like, hey, this is a legit thing you could overanalyze. So in this, I was like, what kind of, I feel like there's some sort of like religious commentary here. And in this instance, it reminded me of like, I don't know the story of Adam and Eve. Clearly, if you heard me talk about fucking Paradise Lost at some point in this podcast, I don't know shit about whatever. But this kind of reminded me of like the snake and Eve from the story of like the garden. What is it? The Garden of Eden. Or just kind of like the idea of sin in general. I said like she witnessed something that she wasn't supposed to. Like, she saw the gravestones of these kids. She saw her dead dog. And now this like tempting force, this kid, this ghost kid, the Watcher, is here to like show her the consequences of her actions. And then she's literally like saved from her sins by like literally the light, like the light of God, if you believe in that shit. But in this instance, the light is Josh's halogen flashlight that melts Ray's skin off. And it kind of could be like, you could kind of say, especially because it's like a light from another man, you could say it's kind of like the light of God saving the sinner from her sin and banishes the sin. Anywho, but yeah, they literally watch, oh God, yeah, they watch him melt away and his skull smack on the ground and shatter into pieces. A child. R.L. Stine came in swinging with this fucking book. Nuts. Swinging this horrific monster cock around this child series. It is insane. He said, you want a fucking show for children? I will make you one. Anyways, like I said, it gets fucking crazy from there too. They go back home because they're like, we need to get the fuck out of here. They go back home and fucking Mr. Dawes, you know, who's obviously a dead ghost as well, but they don't know it at this point. He saves them because, oh, they go back home and they run into the rest of the fucking ghost children, like Karen and the other ones. And they are like, we're going to fucking kill you, basically. That's what they say. They like intimidate them and they start to circle them again. They're like, we're going to kill you. And then they hear someone knock at the door and all the kids just disappear. Who's knocking at the door? Mr. Compton Dawes. And he like saves them. He's like, your parents are at a party right now. We're going to go get them and then we're going to get the fuck out of here. I'm going to get you guys out of here. What does he do? Sorry. Me talking about this book, not knowing what happens. He saves them from the dead kids. And he like basically lures them back to the cemetery. He drives them back to the fucking cemetery. And he like in this, he kind of gives a very, very brief synopsis of what's happened in this town, like why it's a ghost town now. And he basically says like the whole town at one point in time was killed by a toxic gas that was released into the air by a plastic factory that he worked at. I think that is that makes no fucking sense, because when they're reading the gravestones on this, like of these children and everything, they didn't all die like in the same year. It's not like a natural disaster took out all of these people at the same time. They died in different years, some of them far after this. So I don't know if like that put a curse on the town and then it kept killing children who like lived at this house that were drawn in as fresh blood. I'm assuming that's what it's supposed to be, but that was not explained well at all. It literally is just like we all died from toxic gas in this factory in town. And that's it. You're just supposed to be like, oh, okay, that makes sense why it's a ghost town now. Like, okay. I mean, it doesn't explain it well, but hey, look at us. We're putting on our thinking caps to put puzzle pieces together. So yeah, he explains that, and then they basically hide. I don't know how they escape him, but they hide behind gravestones in the cemetery. They obviously find his gravestone at some point in time. And like, so they know he's dead, and they are watching all of the ghosts from town walk through the cemetery to this amphitheater, this meeting place. And in the meeting place, like when everyone's there, they sneak over behind this tree that is like, its roots are growing out of the ground. They go there and they're looking, and at the center of the amphitheater that all these ghosts are watching are their parents tied up. Roped BDSM bondage tied in front of the entire fucking town of ghosts, and they're about to be like fucking sacrificed. They're about to watch their parents be sacrificed to a ghost town. This book was crazy. Hey, in case you were wondering, this book was fucking insane. And this is so weird. It's like it's about to become like the daytime, so they have to like do the sacrifice quickly or whatever. But the sun starts to show, and they are like, how do we save our parents from all of these ghosts without us getting caught as well? They decide, hey, this giant fucking tree that's shading over the whole amphitheater, its roots are growing out of the ground. Let's push it over so that the sunlight comes through where the shade was. This was stupid. This was a stupid way to solve the problem. So they do. They literally push this tree down. I don't know how none of the ghosts in this amphitheater heard it. The way that it's set up in my brain, that makes no sense. And like the layout of this amphitheater and this tree, that makes no sense. And but yeah, they push down this fucking tree, and all of the ghosts start to melt very descriptively in the same way that Ray Thurston melted. It talks about how all of their skin melts off, their eyeballs fall out of their head, their bones and their skulls crack on the ground. It is fucking crazy. But yeah, they do all of this before they kill her parents. Again, I think that's fucking stupid. However, during this ghost town massacre, there's one moment that I was so fucking intrigued by. Genuinely. Karen Somerset, I think was her name. She is the one that has like a character in the TV episode. While she's literally melting amongst the rest of the ghosts, she looks at Amanda from afar and says, "Thank you, Amanda," as she's like melting away. And I thought that was fucking crazy. That's insane. We'll sit on that. Let's come back to that later, because now we come to the fucking plot twist. So obviously the family makes it out alive, and they are moving. It's like the next day they are moving. They're leaving. And while they're driving away, Amanda's like, we did almost die, but stop the car. I want to run back and look at the house one more time. So they do. They just do. Instead of her parents being like, no, we're getting the fuck out of here, they stop the car for her. She gets out and she runs to the house and is just looking at it. And that's it. And she talks about how like the windows look like their eyes or something and whatever. And then while she's standing there, like as she's about to turn away, another car pulls into the driveway. And it's like a pair of twin boys and their parents. And the twin boys are like, who are you? And she says, oh, I'm Amanda. I used to live in your house. Repeating the cycle that the ghost kids just portrayed of like telling them, I used to live in your house. And then it turns out that they're all dead. So the assumption is they moved into that house and they fucking died. So now she's continuing that cycle, but they supposedly made it out alive. What's happening there? And then when she does that, and as she turns back around to kind of run away, She thinks that she sees Mr. Compton Dawes standing at the front door, much as he was when they came to look at the house for the first time as a real estate agent. And she's like, was that actually him? Did I see Compton Dawes again? So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the book. And it leaves you wondering, like, did they really make it out? Are they really alive? Like, did pushing that stupid tree over do jack shit? Like, what's actually happening? Like, did anything actually happen? That's the end of the book. I think that's insane. I think that is so crazy. That was a great ending to the book. Like, it's so nuanced. It's so, like, there's no clear answer. It doesn't just wrap everything up perfectly like you want it to. A great plot twist. So good. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of my review and just kind of going over what happens in this book. I would like to share, before we move forward, that I think it's time now to make a pretty big decision for the podcast. And I've alluded to it in other episodes. There are just some really standout characters in this book, in these books, in the series, that are just like, it makes sense. The roles that they've played just make sense. And it's just getting a bit more out of hand that I'm like, I need to do something about this. What I'm saying is that here on the Halloween edition of Things That Go Bump, episode 5, I have decided that we are officially going to begin the Goosebumps government of the Goosebumps cinematic universe. We are creating an official governmental structure with the characters from the various Goosebumps books. So as we've mentioned before, I stated in the first episode, very big claim, Carly Beth for president. We all know why. Then Count Nightwing from Vampire Breath is her VP. Then the beasts from the last book are some of the Supreme Court justices. And now I read this book and I was like, oh my God, Dead House is the foundation of this series. It is the structure that started everything. Dead House is our, like, Supreme Court. Dead House is our White House. It is everything in one in this Goosebumps cinematic universe government. It just has to happen. I'm not saying that in every single book I read, I'm going to be searching for someone to fit. If someone in a whole book doesn't fit into the government, they don't fit into the fucking government. And that's that. And that's because this is a dictatorship led by me. Even though there's a president, I'm the dictator and I'm picking who goes where. All right. Is that okay with you? So we have a president, we have a VP, we've got some people on the Senate. Or just like senators, I don't know. We could also have in the future, like judges, lawyers. One sec. People in the government. Hey, you know what? Yeah, I did have to look up, I'm going to look up roles in the government because one thing about me is I did have to take a semester-long government class in high school so that I could graduate. Did I take it? Yes. Did I pass? I must have. I graduated high school. Did I retain a lick of information from that class? Absolutely fucking not. That's because I went to public school and obviously had a bad teacher who did not engage with the class at all. And that's his fault. It's his fault that I don't know roles in the government. There can be like, maybe it's also going to function more as like there's going to be an overall council. And I know in a council you have like public relations. You also have like secretaries, and you have treasurers, and we'll figure it out as we go. I guess someone has to be the AOC of the Goosebumps cinematic universe's government. Someone's got to do it. Someone has to be the Mitch McConnell. God, I wish that man would just fucking drop dead. I hate him so much. That fucking, like, you know what I'm saying? God, what was that thing called? From Pan's Labyrinth. He looks exactly like it. I know everyone on the internet saying it. I can never unsee it, though. He looks exactly like that fucking nasty monster that eats children with eyes in his hands. Ugh. Fuck that guy. Ugh. I want to punch him in the fucking wiener. Anyways. So yeah, we're starting a government. We're starting a government on things that go bump for the Goosebumps universe. And today, newly added, it's all starting with Deadhouse as pretty much where the government will function out of. It's a Supreme Court. It's a White House. It's all in one. It's the Octagon. I stopped myself there. I stopped myself. You didn't think I could stop myself, but I did. I filtered myself. Today is a good day for me because I was about to say something and I didn't. And that's great progress of me as a person. Twink. All right. I'm so glad I didn't say that. Okay. Oh, my phone's ringing. 1 second. Hello? They just hit the second tower. Anyways, that's my review on Welcome to Deadhouse. See, that was tasteful. No, it wasn't. Fucked up. Okay, moving forward. It's time to move on to everyone's favorite part of the podcast. Maybe. I don't know. We've only released one episode. Time to move on to the numbers. The numbers. Okay. We've got editing Zabian. Hey, you know the drill. Put up the fucking rubric right here, bitch. Maybe I'll. That sounds like a lot of work. I was gonna say maybe I'll change the color to make it Halloween exclusive, but that sounds like a lot of fucking work. And I'm probably not gonna. Well, maybe I might end up doing that. We'll see. So if you see that it's a different color, happy Halloween. If you see that it's the same color, all right, let's do the numbers. So we're starting with the spookiness of the concept, everybody. For Welcome to Deadhouse, the first book in the Goosebumps series, I gave it a 4 out of 5. You have a literal ghost town that draws in random families once a year. I forgot to mention that too. They draw in families once a year. The whole like inheritance thing from the family member, from his uncle, the dad's uncle, was fake. The town somehow just drew them in. I don't fucking know how, but lots of plot holes in this one. So you got a ghost town that draws in random families once a year to kill and feed off so that it can continue thriving as a ghost town. That's fucking horrifying. But like, it's the plot holes that got me. How do they pick these families? Why did they pick Amanda Thripp's family? Why did they pick this pigtailed bitch? I don't get it. I don't get how they pick it. It's so random. Like, I need a little more structure. Like, it can be nuanced, but give me like a little bit more of a rhyme and a reason as to why all these ghosts are here. Why they pick how they pick families at random. I don't know. It confused me a little bit. Let alone, it is horrifying. So 4 out of 5. Now we move on to the villain in the story, which are basically like all of the ghosts in the story. The house itself is not the villain because it doesn't do anything. It's the things that take over. So the villain in the story, the ghosts in the town, I gave a 3.6 out of 5. The ghosts in this town, they make a lot of threats to kill the family, and they are very intimidating and scary. And they live up to just being like classic, like spooky ghosts. But we don't actually see them do anything except kill. We don't actually see them do anything besides scare the main characters. That's it. They don't do much. They make a lot of empty threats, but that's really it. But also the fact that light literally makes them melt into skeletons is fucking crazy. So they are scary. They're just not that, like, proactive. So I gave them 3.6 out of 5. The reader's tolerance of the protagonists. I'm just rating Amanda. I'm not rating Josh. Because most of this it's Amanda's point of view, and most of it is centered around, like, her perspective on everything. I gave a 3 out of 5. I didn't really have any particularly strong feelings about Amanda, whether they be good or bad. She like is a pretty neutral protagonist with some like minor personality quirks, like I mentioned at the beginning. But she was a very neutral protagonist, and I feel like it was a good way to start. Like, it was a good development of a lead for the entire Goosebumps series. Just like a pretty neutral ground, like you're experiencing this a pretty similar way she would have experienced this, but she still has a bit of a personality on her own. Okay, plot twists and resolution. I gave a 3.97 out of 5. What the fuck was I on while I was reading this? As soon as this book hit the midway point, like we talked about with the dog running away, the rest of the plot is basically fucking crazy, and it really just takes off from there. But as we mentioned, some of the resolution is kind of stupid. There's like the ambiguity and the mystery at the very end that we mentioned with her seeing Mr. Dawes and everything. Maybe, we don't even know. I thought that was a nice touch to finish out the first of many books in the legacy of the Goosebumps series. I stand by that 100%. Like, it was such a good way to, like, it's not even a recurring series, like, where the story of Amanda and her family is going to continue, but it leaves you off like almost like a Twilight Zone episode where it finishes off so fucked up that you want to keep going, even though you know that what's about to happen next is not about the same people. This is basically the fucking Twilight Zone in a children's book form. It's so creative. It was done very well, I feel like. 3.97 out of 5, I guess. Just because of kind of the stupid resolution with the tree and everything. I thought that was so dumb. Underlying messages and social commentary. I gave a 2.65 out of 5. I feel like there is some strong commentary about religion, but it's a bit convoluted for me personally to identify clearly because I don't know much about fucking religion. And I also, like, along those lines, I think it's more so it's religion, but it's also like it's more spiritual, like what actually happens to us when we die. Like, all the spirits in this book are presented or portrayed as like manipulative and evil. But then you have that moment where Karen thanks Amanda as her corpse like melts away with the rest of the town. And like, you've still got like Amanda's desire to look at the house one more time and continue the cycle of like the curse of Dead House with her saying, I used to live here. Like, why are all of these spirits, especially with her saying thank you as she's melting away, it makes me think that they are all stuck and like almost being tricked into wanting to stay, and that's why they draw people in. So it's like, what actually, like, why are spirits in general just like stuck? Because that's what I truly believe they are. Like, if there's like a ghost or something, I think there's a whole lot of different labels and just like spiritual like things that are on this realm with us as like human beings that we are not super susceptible to. But I really think that ghosts are just spirits who are almost like stuck and they don't know how to move forward with whatever happens after we are done on this planet. And I think that is to leave up to the imagination what happens afterwards. But I think some energies and spirits just like are residual and they get stuck. So it's like, why are spirits stuck? Like, is it because of unfinished business? Is it because of trauma that has not been processed that like keeps them here and they don't know how to move past it? Are they being held back by some sort of like evil energy that is waiting for, and are they waiting for someone like strong and like capable of helping them move forward? Kind of like the Conjuring 2. I love that movie. That movie is so good. I was so shook the first time I saw that movie because, like, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but the whole like plot twist of like, oh, the evil old man in the house is actually being trapped there and wants to move on, but he's being trapped there by this fucking demon that disguises itself as a nun for some reason. And that is just so creative. But like, is that why spirits are here? Like, are they actually just stuck and being trapped by something bigger than themselves? I'm also like I said, I don't know much about religion. So I don't know. Like, does this book, the way that I described it, which maybe not very well, does it like, if you are a person with any sort of background in like Christianity, does this have like any sort of allusion to a story that's like in the Bible? Because I'm so dead ass. I do not know shit about the Bible, but it seems like something that might be similar. I don't know. I might just be pulling at straws, but like, I don't know. But yeah, it's basically just, this book has some interesting points that makes readers like truly question what happens to us after death, as well as like bringing forth some ideas about religion, like I mentioned earlier. But I don't know for sure. I can't make out any clear points, so it's kind of a low score from me. Also, Petey, the dog, teaches us to adopt, not shop. Moving forward. The last on the rubric, did I get goosebumps? Yeah, I fucking did. This book was crazy. So it gets the extra half a point. When we add all of the scores on this rubric for this book together, we get an overall score of 3.54 out of 5. That's very close, but not quite beating our first place runner, Vampire Breath. So, Welcome to Dead House takes second place in the McCandy Library's official rating of the 62 Goosebumps books. It's knocking down Beast of the East to third place and everything else down a peg, but Vampire Breath remains in first place. And that's it. That's my time here. What does that Hillary Duff thing? Thank you so much. That's my life. Thank you so much for watching. That's how I feel right now. I'm like tired now. This was kind of a long one. Anyways, if you are watching this podcast on YouTube as the video podcast, please leave me a like and subscribe to my channel so you see when I upload new videos. Please leave me a comment. I'm so dead ass about that religion shit. Please leave me a comment about anything that like, any thought you had on this episode, basically, with anything. Please leave me a comment. If you're listening to it as an audio podcast, I'm sorry. I feel like I kind of like discredit my audio listeners sometimes by like making things very exclusive to the video podcast, but I appreciate you listening to this however you can, wherever you want to. Please rate the podcast. Give me a 5-star rating. You can follow my channels or whatever on your audio streaming choice, and see when I upload new videos or new episodes. If you want to follow me outside of my podcasting journey, all of my socials, my personal socials, are in the description of this episode, as well as links to my small art business, wherefore.art.thou by Z. I have a print shop. Please don't let the drawings from these episodes reflect anything on how I like actually on like the work that I actually spend time on and sell and like try to make money off of. It's a bit higher of a caliber, but go check it out and on my Etsy shop. It's listed below. And that's pretty much it. I think we're done here. Thank you for joining me on this Halloween 2023. I hope you enjoyed my review of the very first Goosebumps book in the Halloween episode. Until next time, keep it loosey and stay goosey. All right. See you later.